Hi everyone. Like Ria said, my name is Nicole Mae and I use they, she pronouns. I'm a poet here in Treaty 4. For my self-ID, I'm Hungarian Canadian. In my mid-20s, I have long brown hair, a black top, and a green and white long skirt. It's been a few years since I've read in front of multiple people, so I'm a little nervous about that. But I figured I could start with a poem that's actually about stage fright, and then we'll get into some more personal topics from there. This first poem is called Bile. I can't sing in front of anyone. Cobweb saliva, throat dust, a clean slide down for the magic school bus. Did Miss Frizzle just turn on the radio? Playing childish Gambino on my hip bones, daddy long legs rhythm. I can hear the sprinklings of funk tenor. I can almost regurgitate them, but words come up bile. So all the poems I'll be reading today are from my forthcoming poetry collection that has an undisclosed title. I'm still working on getting it published and hopefully it will be within the next year or so. Again, like Ria said, I do have two other poetry books called Youth and Screamy Sweet Nothings. They were published back in 2018 and 2019. So my more modern works can be found in some magazines, as well as on my YouTube channel. So one of the concepts I'm constantly exploring through poetry is nostalgia. And I thought I would share a couple of those kinds of poems. This first one was recently published in Bloma magazine's second issue, Life Bloody Life, and this poem is called Autumn 2011. I used to wear a heart locket and Jackson Pollock acne. He, holes in his jeans. I remember buying 99-cent gas station ramen, and in the absence of plastic forks, we ate with coffee stir sticks. Drip, drip, an ugly kiss for two ugly kids. Passing. The AC was permanently broken in my family's 99 Caravan. On bloodworm summers, we'd drive with the windows down. Gravel roads fumigated us. Intrusive dust for our syrup sweat. My mother grieved dead gophers while driving over them, fanned my salmon cheeks with an old magazine, and played blues radio much too loudly. In this passing memory, I'm as permanent as the sky. So a concept that's been new to my poetry writing is chronic pain. I've had chronic pain for a decade now, and frequent the hospital every year. But despite that, I rarely used to write about it. In recent years, I've felt a really loving kinship with my disabled friends, and I also joined an ill workshopping group that's been giving me really encouraging feedback. So I thought I would share a couple poems that came from that experience. These next two explore body pain. Bubblegum. There's a chewed piece of bubblegum at the bottom of my bathtub, but I let the water run anyways. Let warmth crawl up my leg hair like a horny lover, see my reflection summon anger. This body won't seem to forgive me. After a decade of spine or tailbone or lumbar surgery, I look like the souvenir shop in a hospital. I'm a pull string plush toy. My music box sings the scraping of bones. Sepsis. I consider holding medication in my belly button, pushing it in like a thumbtack, plastic capsules where bacteria birthed. I consider embarrassing the apparition of my umbilical cord, undoing the blood rot from its first day on the job, the erasure of my septic skin. The next two poems are grief poems, specific to my grandma. She passed away 6 years ago, and tomorrow would actually be her birthday. I had a difficult time talking about her without crying for quite a while because she was my favorite person on earth. And so this will be my first time reading those poems. And I thought I would start off with the one called "And Cried and Cried." I attended 4 funerals by the time I turned 12 years old. My mother told me, "Grandma will be the next to go." "She isn't even sick," I said, "but she's getting up there in age. It could happen any day." We arrived at Grandma's house 10 minutes later. My hands vibrated while opening her front door. Pancake warmth and pine needle tea caved through me. My favorite blanket hung on her dining room seat. Ginger Sherpa, TV glow, brass vase, swan painting, the diabetic candy bowl, and Grandma was alive, waiting to eat breakfast for dinner, to first hug me. I would sink in her arms as if they were Play-Doh. Thick lotion, expired perfume, liver spot ornaments, gold bracelets, but we soon unfolded the sofa bed. Grandma kissed my forehead, turned off the lights so that the city couldn't whisper through the blinds, and once she left, I cried and cried. Doreen Part 2, and if you want to hear Part 1, you have to buy my book. Grandma had one apple tree. I was 13 when I climbed up it, tried to retrieve ripeness, but heard the separating of skin first. The honey-crisp branches snapped on bent knees. I screamed, bloodied the bark, became a dog, took canine claws to the leaves so I could fall slower than her life expectancy. October was Grandma's passing. She was in a chair in the sun with a book. All right. To lighten up the mood, I'm going to read 2 love poems. It's the last 2 poems of my set. They're going to be specific to queer love because I'm non-binary and in love with a non-binary person right now. And for those of you who don't know many queer people or haven't heard this term before, non-binary means I don't identify as a woman or a man. Not on the gender spectrum at all. It has nothing to do with who I am as a person. Being non-binary also means that I am trans. It's a subcategory of transness, and this is because the definition of being trans is one who does not correspond with the gender registered for them at birth. There's been a lot of trans suffering in the news and media recently, and it is exhausting trying to convince people to see you as human. And so I want to end my reading today with love poems because I love being queer. It's one of my favorite parts of life. And this first one will be called Trans Unfoldings. Nocturnal snow melts, and I know spring has arrived. We can leave the house more ourselves. Lace top with chest hair, boxy hands with nail polish. He's my girlfriend, a vernal equinox. Warm fog weaves itself through sidewalks. Transitioning seasons transition us. Dishes. The kitchen sink accommodates my grime tendencies. Mackerel flesh on cheap cutlery, a cranberry tea bag stuck to the bottom of my favorite mug. Smell this, residue cat food in yeast water. My partner rolls up their sleeves, finds a gray blemished hand cloth and rubs tangerine palmolive into it, tells me they want to do my dishes, that it'd make them happy if it made my life easier. A waterfall stream leaves the tap, steams the base of my copper lamp and loses track of its droplets on the green basil knit sweater. All along has this been the horror of love. Thank you for listening to my poems.